Hello and welcome to 10 Minute Takes. We are Jim and Sam, and this is the show where we give you our rating first, and then we talk about the things that we did and did not like about the movie we just watched. Today's movie is, or I should say this episode's movie is, Creed 2. So Sam, you ready to give a rating to Creed 2?
Yes.
Yes, you are. And just warning up front, this will be a spoilers review. I might be tagging our videos going forward as spoilers. The idea is that you have seen this movie when you come to watch this. So we were not going to give away the ending now, but we will be talking about some things that if you want to go into this movie cold, there's some things that happen in this film that you might not want to know, but we're going to talk about them minus spoiling the total end of this film. Okay, so Sam, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so Creed 2. 3, 2, 1.
See it.
Oh, I love the series so much. And the fact that this is the the 7th Rocky film in this franchise. And
is it 8? Isn't there Rocky 6?
There's Rocky 6, and then there's Creed, which is 7, so this is 8.
8, yes.
You're right. This is the 8th film.
Yes, I am right.
High five to that. Jesus. Good job.
Thank you.
So let's get the show started. So Sam, someone comes to you and asks you to describe them what Creed 2 is. They're not familiar with the Rocky franchise. What do you say to someone? How do you describe Creed 2 to someone who may not know what Rocky is?
I need to start from Rocky 1. How do you explain it?
Yeah, at this point, I don't know how anyone would not know what the Rocky franchise is, but describe this film to me.
I think what I would say first is that it's a boxing movie about, it's the continued story of Apollo Creed's son, who is Adonis Creed, and he is now up against Drago's son, who is the man that killed his father. And it's the continued story of Rocky Balboa's story also, where he becomes Creed's trainer.
Yeah, and the thing that I liked most about this film was how much attention they paid to the Drago story. Mm-hmm. So the film opens up. So this is for me, this is spoiler territory. The very opening scene of this film is Drago.
It says in the description of the movie that it's Drago.
I know, but the opening scene, the very opening scene it opens with Drago in a similar manner that Creed opened up with Creed. So the first Creed opens up with Creed. I believe this is the opening of the film when he's in a boxing match in Mexico. He's out of the country. And it opens up with him in a boxing match. Creed 2 opens up in a similar manner where it's Drago in this underground boxing ring. And he's just a giant of a man. This dude is humongous. Yeah. And he pretty much just annihilates with just raw power the people that they put in front of him. Yeah. And that's the opening of the film. It's Drago. It's the father-son combo. And there's no dialogue. I don't think they ever talk or speak in the opening. I think there's just physicality.
You don't see Drago's son speak until almost halfway through the movie. He
I think you're
has
right,
very limited. Well, when I was watching it, I was like, why isn't he talking? I was very confused. And then halfway through, he does start to talk. But then you can kind of see why he doesn't talk, because his father has so much power over him. Yeah. So I understand why his character didn't have a lot of lines until halfway through.
Yeah, Ivan Drago holds a heavy hand over his son in this film. Mm-hmm. But they are such a great foil to the Rocky Creed story that I really don't know if there's any other sequel I would have wanted with Creed outside of this one. I felt like at first it's like, oh man, they're gonna bring the Dragos back for Creed 2. This could be kind of cheesy. The way they balanced it was perfect.
I will have to say, off of what you were saying and our conversation that was after the movie, is that I do wish that I had seen Rocky 4, because I have seen all of the Rockies, but it's been so long. So even though I didn't think I needed to see Rocky 4 to see this movie, it would have been really nice to see that, hear of the backstory of the Dragos.
And one of the other things I really liked about this film is Creed's opening scene is a boxing rematch with the guy from the first film that took his car. So in the first film, he has a sparring match with a guy named Danny Wheeler, and he puts his car up for
That's why they made that comment.
He's like, fight me and I'll give you, if you win, I'll give you my Mustang. and Danny Wheeler in the first film knocks him out, and he takes his Mustang. So this film opens up Creed's first boxing match is fighting Danny Wheeler, and they put the car back up for like a bet between the two of them, and he beats Danny Wheeler and gets his car back. I thought that was a great callback to the first Creed.
Oh, I forgot about that because I remember watching that and being like, okay, cool, he got a car.
Yeah, but it was his car that was his dad's that he lost to Danny Wheeler in the first film. That was a great touch. I really like that. It was, when I saw that pop up, for those that don't, there's probably like a lot of people that went over their head, but for the callback for the people that worked, I thought it was a pretty nice callback. I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
The other thing that I liked, and you mentioned it in your description, that this is a boxing movie, and I feel like of all of the Rocky films,
this is the least.
No, I was actually gonna say this is the most. This one gets into the mentality of a fighter more than the other ones.
That's what I put about the thing that I like the most about it is Donnie's character development throughout the film, because he starts off feeling really great about himself, and then he gets knocked down, and then he goes through the whole process of getting his energy and his what do you call it?
Well, he gets his stamina. He sort of gets his mojo back. He needs to get his boxing mojo back. And I believe this is the first film in the franchise that features 2 fights with the same 2 fighters. So this is another thing that I didn't know going into it, that Creed and Drago have a boxing match in the middle of the movie, and Drago annihilates him.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were watching it, and you looked at your watch like, what? Because it's just
all the movie, just like thinking about all the other movies, they all come at the end.
It's a formula in the Rocky franchise. I like that they broke that formula.
It was funny too, because I looked at my watch and you were like, it's not over yet. I was
like,
it's only been 45 minutes. Of course it's not over yet. But I was so confused because all the big boxing competitions is at the end. So it was really cool to have the climax be that one, and then the second climax at the end of the movie be the second rematch, and it just really flowed nicely.
And the thing what gets into the psyche of a boxer is that Creed loses that first match to Drago. And when he loses that match, it pretty much like tears him apart.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't know how to get back into fighting. I feel like that's like a real thing that boxers and fighters go through. That when they go into a match, some fighters have a hard time bouncing back from that. Look at Ronda Rousey. She had a really bad loss and she wasn't able to bounce back, and now she's retired and she's a wrestler. And they dive into that aspect of a fighter's mentality. And this with Creed, with him having to bounce back from his loss from Drago.
Right.
Which I liked a lot. Now, I know some people might think, because his road to recovery for the rematch at the end of the film is kind of a long stretch of period.
Yeah, but I really like that because, like you said, it gets in his head.
Yeah, which is why I liked about it too.
And the relationships around him hurt from that, and it has to be rebuilt. So, like, not only does he have to be rebuilt, but he has to make that connection between all the people around him, including Rocky Balboa, in order to get to the point and get to the mental state that he needs to be to fight Drago again.
Yeah. And the other thing that I liked a lot about the 2 fights between Creed and Drago is that in the lead up to the first match, Creed is all glitz and glamour. He's got the fancy gym. He's got the paparazzi. And Drago's in, like, the back alleys of Russia, training like in nowhere, because the Dragos have essentially been
Philly. I thought they went to Philly to train. No,
I think they went back to Russia.
Okay.
And maybe they were in Philly, but they were like in the back alleys. They're like in rundown gyms and stuff.
Yeah.
And what I liked about this whole thing is that in the rematch, it's Drago the one that's gotten famous. And then his training montage is like the super glitz and glamour. He's got the cameras on him. And it's Adonis is the one that goes out to the middle of nowhere to train for the fight to refine himself.
Yeah, but I really liked...
I like the juxtaposition of the two. So like the first match is, Donnie, glitz and glamour, Drago, in the back alleys of wherever he was training at. And then it was the flip side, where it was like Drago then got super famous, and it was Donnie that was the one that had like disappeared. I needed to go find himself again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I said that I really liked about the story, was that build-up and the fact that he had to hit rock bottom before he was able to pick himself back up to fight this person whose father killed his father.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of history in it, and there was a lot of callbacks to a lot of the other Rockies, I think.
The other thing that I liked a lot, and this will be my last point before you sort of wrap it up, is the ending to the rematch with Creed and Drago. Don't want to give it away, but I felt like it was very poetic with all the talk of how the Creed-Drago fight ended in Rocky IV. So, all right, is there anything about this movie that you didn't like?
No, not really. Nothing that I would point out. I do want to talk about Bianca's character, though, a little bit. Because I really liked how she had her own ambition, and Donnie's career never got in the way of that. And in some movies, one or the other, somebody's career gets put on pause. So I really like that she had her own storyline and her own ambition that she was able to follow through with. And I would have to say that my favorite scene of the movie is when she's singing for Donnie to walk out into the last fight.
That was cool. I did like that. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
She was essentially his intro song, which was cool. I agree with your point. There's really nothing about this film that I didn't like. Maybe it was a little long, but I felt like having 2 boxing matches with the same characters warranted the running time. Mm-hmm. And not once did I ever feel like I was bored, and I didn't feel like there was any scenes in this film that I feel like weren't needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved this film. It's a great sequel to Creed, to the first Creed. Can't wait for him to do more. Excited to see where this goes. Michael B. Jordan owns the Creed role the way that I feel like Sylvester Stallone owns the Rocky role. Mm-hmm. And they're great together. Rocky and Creed, or Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. There's a great heart that they have that really brings the whole film together.
Yeah.
So I would also be down for a Drago solo movie. I would totally watch a Drago movie if it was just Drago.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I feel like there's a lot of history there. A lot of things that they could explore with that character, with like the abandonment of the mom, the country turning their back on him, the father and son having to like reconcile with one another.
No, I actually would definitely be interested in hearing more about that story, because it's just another branch that you can take with this.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for me.
That's it for me.
That's it for you? Okay. Thank you for watching this episode of 10 Minute Takes. That was our spoiler talk review for Creed 2. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. We have Castlevania we're doing next. Just finished watching that show from Netflix. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned if you're interested in watching that. And as always, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. And we'll see you next time, guys.